Mark Ergilido, grade 12 student in
Fir-
CNHS.
First question. How will you describe sexual harassment in your own perspectives?
Sexual harassment is something's bad.
If you were given a chance to help and advise a sexually harassed victim, how will you help and what advice will you give?
Uh, first, first of all, we cannot avoid sexual harassment, but all I can say to others is try to understand that person.
What will you do if you will witness sexual harassment?
Uh, I try to help.
What kind of help?
Uh, I will advise will, will advise
The victim.
the victim.
If you were one of an authority, what law you will implement against sexual harassment?
Anti-sexual harassment.
uh, Penalty or punishment?
Penalty, death penalty.
Thank you.
Ever been sexually harassed?
Yes.
In what way?
In back when I was in grade 9, when I was studying in OHS by my other group of students, then they 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 want war, then no, in my friend, the there's a misunderstanding.
Okay. Have items of a sexual nature, pictures, pointers, or etc. ever been displayed in your school?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been the recipient of unwanted leers, sexual comments, moses, or gestures in your school?
Yes.
Have you ever had someone follow you and or badger you to go out with them after school?
Yes.
Have you ever received text messages or emails at school or from someone at school which are sexual in nature?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been asked inappropriate questions of a sexual nature at school?
Yes.
Have you ever been rated based on looks or sexuality in your school?
Yes.
Sexual harassment in your own perspective.
For me, sexual harassment is an abuse done against me, against my free will, and yeah, that's it.
Second question. Have you ever been sexually harassed?
No, never.
Have items of sexual nature ever been displayed in your school?
Maybe, but I've never seen one, so maybe it existing.
Isa. Have you ever received text messages or emails at school or from someone at school which are sexual in nature?
Yes, but it's not from our school. It's from other country. You know, like Indian people, their language, their so sexually erotic and something. You know.
Have you ever been asked inappropriate questions of a sexual nature at school or in any?
Yeah, I've heard twice in my
Have you
life.
ever been rated based on looks or sexuality in your school?
Yes, I guess.
Okay, so next. If you were given a chance to help and advise a sexually harassed victim, how will you help and what advice you will give?
Well, first and foremost, I think I would advise them to go for professional assistance, and if they don't have the courage to do it, then they need to look for a friend who could either help them in finding their need to speak up the truth about what really happened to them.
Last question, what will you do if you witness sexual harassment?
Well, of course, as a citizen, and I think I'm in the right mind, so I would help them, and of course, I would call for a police or a barangay official for them to help and act.
Of the government officials or you have an authority, what law would you implement against sexual harassment and its penalty and punishment?
Marag akong ibalik jud tong sa una nga eye to eye, tooth to tooth nga kung unsa ka grabe ang imong gibuhat, inana pud ka grabe ang mobalik nimo because sexual harassment is a big topic. Dapat dili ra na siya ikuan ra aside ra ba dili ra na siya dapat ibaliwala kay ang grabe kayo ang epekto ana sa victim. So if I were given the authority, I would give punishment to the kanang mga ni harass suspect sa mga suspects the punishment they deserve.
Describe sexual harassment in your own perspective.
So for me as a girl, sexual harassment is kanang labtan ka na dili ka ganan or di ka pupunta.
Have you ever been sexually harassed?
No.
Have items of sexual nature like pictures or ever been displayed in your school?
Wala.
Have you ever been the recipient of unwanted touch, sexual comments, notes, or gestures in your school? Have you ever had someone who follow you or stalk you to go out with them after school? Have you ever been asked inappropriate questions or of a sexual nature at school? Have you ever been asked inappropriate questions of a sexual nature at school? If you were given a chance to help and advise a sexually harassed victim, how will you help and what advice will you give?
Sexual harassment. Don't be afraid if kanang dili mahadlok madukan kanang sa authority or kinsa lang maduol na maka-help nila.
Last question, what will you do if you witness sexual harassment?
Elgo kanang maduol ko sa kanang masaligan o kanang naay kakayahan or naay kakayahan ng authority na para ma-stop or ma-prevent or ma-solve ang task.
Thank you. Last question na to.
Hi everyone, I'm Harold Moriel Ramirez Rada and I am very ready to answer several questions.
Okay, first question. How will you describe sexual harassment in your own perspective?
In my own humble opinion, in my own perspective, I can see that sexual harassment, from the term itself, harassing sexually, or I could say like rape.
If you were given a chance to help and advise a sexually harassed victim, how will you help and what advice will you give?
So I will advise them that voice out, let your rights be heard.
What will you do if you will witness sexual harassment?
So first things first is that I will report it to the authority, and second, I will approach them and I will correct them.
So last question, if you were one of the government officials or if you have an authority, what law would you implement against sexual harassment and its penalty or punishment?
So for me, I will implement law that protects the right of a certain person against the, what do you call the person who harassed?
Suspects, sir.
We don't know.
You don't know too.
We don't know. We don't know. What's that?
Harasser.
Harasser? Sexual harasser, so we yung manggot.
Do you agree that women are the usual victims of sexual harassment?
Yes, yes.
Of course, 100%.
How do you describe sexual harassment in your own perspectives?
Okay, sexual harassment. For me, how can I describe the sexual harassment? So for me, sexual harassment is such that pwede naman design is that kana bitong hikap-hikapon imong paa. For example, you're a girl, so na usa ka boy nga murag hikap sa imong paa, so that's a considered as a sexual harassment as a girl.
As a boy,
As a boy, such as same ra gyapon hikapon ang paa kay I can nakakita ko sa mga movies such as sexual harassment kay mga kuan boy ang naano ang paa po hikapon.
have you ever been sexually harassed?
No.
Have items of sexual nature ever been displayed in your school?
No.
Have you ever been the recipient of unwanted touch, sexual comments, notes in your school?
Sexual comments, no.
Have you ever been rated based on looks or sexuality in your school?
No.
If you were given a chance to help and advise a sexually harassed victim, how will you help and what advice will you give?
I just want to say them na kung naka-experience nag-sexual harassed is next time kung next time nga nakakuan naman sila ka-experience na sexual harassment kung unsay mga lihok na sa mga boys or girls nga kuan sexual harassment ikaw na lang mismo mo palayo na lang nila
Avoid.
kay o ma-avoid na lang nila kay kung nakabalo na ka mao na pinakauna para ma-sexual ka nagpadayon palayo na lang mo avoid na lang.
What will you do if you will witness sexual harassment?
Report to the authority.
If you were one of the government officials or in an authority, what law would you implement against sexual harassment or penalty and punishment?
For me, in prison, kung first nga makuan sila, first offense, priso sila in 10 years and na sila cash bitaw nga makuha.
Kanang
Sito
dili
na.
ba
Kanang bayad penalty mga kung ako yung government, hala mo dira section bastos mo 15,000 to 15,000 first offense. Thank you.
Okay. Sige. So my name is Mary Joy Emriel. So
Okay, first question. How do you describe sexual harassment in your own perspective?
okay. So in my own perspective, from the word sexual harassment, then you are sexually harassed. So for example, rape cases.
Okay, thank you. Next, have you ever been sexually harassed?
No, never in my life.
Have items of sexual nature ever been displayed in your school? Have you ever been the recipient of unwanted touch, sexual comments, or notes in your school?
No,
Have you ever received text messages at school?
no,
Have you ever been rated based on looks or sexuality in your school? If you were given a chance to help and advise a sexually harassed victim, how will you help and what advice will you give?
So, for example, if I am one of the victims, then what I am going to feel is, of course, I am going to be scared. So, if I am going to advise those people who were harassed, then I am going to tell them that they should not be scared because they have their right. So, first thing they should do is to report to some authorities or someone they can trust.
Okay. What will you do if you will witness sexual harassment?
So, first thing I would do is stop.
Government officials, what law you will implement against sexual harassment?
Maybe 10 years
Imprisonment.
imprisonment. More than 10 years.
Your business? Yes!
Business.
Ikaw?
Hello everyone, my name is Christine C. Itoyaga, grade 12 student here at Kamanhak National High School. I'm now 17 years old and living at Lower Kamanhak, Dumaguete City. Okay.
Okay, first question. How will you describe sexual harassment in your own perspectives?
Um, it is touching without any permissions, and which is against the will of the owner of the body of the private parts of the body of someone.
Have you ever been sexually harassed?
No,
Lucky. Have items of sexual nature ever been displayed in your school?
no,
Have you ever been the recipient of unwanted touch, sexual comments, notes in your school?
no,
Have you ever received text messages or emails at school from someone at school which are sexual in nature?
yes, I do, but I think it's not from school, it's from outside world, outside world.
Have you ever been rated based on looks?
Yes, always.
If you were given a chance to help and advise a sexual harassed victim, how will you help and what advice will you give?
She should encourage herself to continue her life, his or her life, because as we all know that even if he or she is being harassed, he or she still have the right to live. What do you call it? Live.
Did you agree that the usual victims of sexual harassment are women?
Yes, I do.
Is it possible that men are the victims of sexual harassment? Why or why not?
Um, yes, there is a possibility as what the news about Bong Navarro, he was sexually abused.
Hoy, kusa mo? Ay,
Hare!
boy, sa mana ko.
Bale!
Next, what will you do if you witness sexual harassment?
Of course, I will report the one who harassed that woman to the policeman.
If you were one of the government officials or if you have an authority, what law would you implement against sexual harassment and its penalty or punishment?
Punishment only. Because
What kind of punishment?
death penalty. Just like that. Because maybe I know that we have all we as human has the right to live and as second chances, but then maybe if that rapist will do it again, so he has to undergo that penalty.
Thank you.
Margija.
Good afternoon.
So, nice meeting you. So, now we are going to ask you some questions and we are hoping that you will answer it honestly.
Okay.
So, first, how will you describe sexual harassment?
Based on my own understanding, sexual harassment is a person who is victim in sexual harassment muragi from the word harass ra kayang pagbuhat o pagdo or pagbuhat sa usa ka tawo nga with sexual pleasure or something. Right.
Next, have you ever been sexually harassed?
No.
So, have items of sexual nature, example, pictures, pointers, etc., ever been displayed in your school?
No.
So, have you ever been the recipient of unwanted leers, sexual comments, or gestures in your school?
No.
Have you ever had someone follow you or badgers that you to go out with them after school?
Pardon, please.
So, have you ever had someone that follow you or some badger that wants you to go out with them after school?
No.
So, have you ever received text messages or emails at school or from someone at school which are sexual in nature? Have you ever been asked inappropriate questions of a sexual nature at school?
No.
Have you ever been rated based on looks or sexuality in your school?
Yes.
If you were given a chance to help and advise sexually harassed victim, how will you help and what advice will you give?
Kung matagan kong chance nga muhatag og advice sa usa ka victim sa sexual harassment, ako yung advice niya is dili pa ulahi ang tanan, pwede pa siyang mas kanang murag iyang biskag na trauma man siya or wa man siya ka forget or wa man siya nakalimot sa kuan kisa ni harass niya. Ako siya advice nga kuan nari ang mga friends, nari ang families, dili na siya biyaan o pwede pa niya mas mabago ang tanan.
So, what will you do if you witness sexual harassment?
Of course, first is mukan ko mangayos ang tabang sa police or other local nga kuan diri sa atong barangay o usa na ko mo ato dito para mo kuan niya gubat charot.
So, do you agree that the usual victims of sexual harassment are women?
Yes.
So, last question. Is it possible that men are the victims of sexual harassment?
Yes.
Why?
Kay dili tanang nga from the word sexual harassment jud nga pwede na jud tanan bayi na may some nga laki pod ang sexual harassment. For example, kung sobrang nakagwapo niya naay kuan naay mo unsa na magmotibo niya nga atangan siya sa dalan, di ba? Di ba lalim?
So, ayun, so thank you for sparing your time with us. We appreciate it.
So thank you for the panels or the questions that I learned in my mind. Thank you.